Hey everybody. Tonight I have actually put some frozen bloodworms in the tank for my puffer here. This is Butterbean, my figure 8. And normally when I give him bloodworms, I thaw them and I rinse them, and I always recommend to people that they rinse them. But I'm trying something new. The reason I recommend rinsing them is because of the amount of phosphates that they will put in your tank if you just throw them in frozen. They use guar gum as a binding agent when they freeze it, and you just don't want to put that in your tank because it'll just blow your phosphates up. It doesn't hurt anything. It just puts a lot of phosphates in your tank, and that encourages algal growth. So I'm putting it in here frozen because I don't want these other fish to get it. And when I throw them in there loose, thawed out, it's just a feeding frenzy. I've found that if I throw them in like this, the other fish don't seem to take too much of an interest. And once it starts thawing a little bit, Butterbean, my puffer there, will really start working on it, and he will get quite a bit of that. Now, see, he's a little freaked out by the camera there. He's not really sure what this is. He really still doesn't like it. And you can see one of my Bumble Bee Gobies right there. They really like these frozen bloodworms as well. So I normally give them, or give my puffer here, pond snails, and I'm out of them right now. And my regular go-to backup food is freeze-dried krill. It doesn't create a lot of mess in the tank. It doesn't really matter if it sits in there and floats, and it provides the shell that is needed for his tooth plates to be worn down properly. Giving him too much of these, it's not really, there's plenty of protein for him, but it's not really doing anything in the way of wearing down his tooth plates. You need to give him shelled, there we go. You need to give them shelled food, whether it's snails or shrimp or something like that. So these are okay for him to eat, and it certainly gets him by. And that gives you a little bit more of an idea. If he wanted to be aggressive, he really could be. Now, I ordered some freeze-dried krill. I was getting to mention that I've been out of them for a while, and the store I normally get them from hasn't had any. So I've been forced to, just to make sure he gets enough to eat, I've been having to throw these bloodworms in here. And of course, that's also making sure all these other fish get a lot of bloodworms, which I don't necessarily want. And you can see he's got a fat little belly. I'm going to actually move this back over. And now that it's sinking, he'll really get to attacking it. And he will have a fat belly soon. Pufferfish are very, very elastic for obvious reasons. And so when they eat, they can actually really eat a lot and really put a lot of food in their gut. So you kind of have to be careful not to overfeed them. And believe me, they've got the appetite to go with it. They will, if you let them, they will eat way more food than is good for them. So he gets 1 cube of this a day when I don't have snails for him. When I do have snails, depending on the size of the snail, I would give him the equivalent of maybe 5 or 6 large snails a day. Trying to stay out of the glare so you can actually see the fish and not the reflection of my arm. Any kind of tank that has an overhanging light, I've mentioned before, I actually have something up there to block the overflow light, but you still get it, and then it gives you all kinds of glare on the tank. They're very difficult to film. See if we can look down on him again without spooking him. So a little later tonight, I am going to shoot some more video on this tank, and I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to talk a little more about technical stuff to deal with brackish water and brackish water chemistry and the animals and things like that. I'm just going to get into what a brackish tank is, what brackish water is, and what it means, and how to do it and maintain it and all that kind of stuff. So instead of just looking at the tank, we're actually going to talk about it a little bit. This is just fun to look at. I thought it would be interesting to show you my puffer feeding, and you can see the very deliberate way he, creeps around looking for food and stuff like that. So, interesting fish. I highly recommend them if you're willing to run a little bit of a brackish system. They can deal with very low end brackish, but they do need to be in brackish water. And like I've said, I'll be shooting some video later on that. So go ahead and subscribe now, and that way you won't miss it. And I'm going to call this the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And hopefully I will see you real soon.